Hello, welcome back to the channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings, and we generally like to talk a load of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general. And in this video we're going to be talking about a game that's been one of our favourite games of all time for quite a number of years. We'll be talking about Cyclades, and this isn't a review as such. We've been going back and we've been playing this a little bit over the last few weeks. Just wanted to impart to you why this game is still top notch, still top dog 12 years after it was released in 2009. So remember, if you're newer, then please consider subscribing to this channel if you ain't already done so. Leave a comment in that section down below, hit the like button and all that shit. And we'll see you after this. Bollocks. So Cyclades, it's a tactical miniatures game, I guess. Everyone's going to take control of an army. You've got ground troops and then you've got ships as well. The aim of the game is to take control of 2 metropolises. You acquire a metropolis if you obtain one of each of the 4 buildings, like fortresses, ports, universities and temples, or you can trade in 4 philosophers for a metropolis. The only other way you can get a metropolis is if you amass an army, go into someone's territory, kick their ass and nick it from them. Know what I mean? So along the way in Cyclades you'll be enlisting the assistance of gods like Ares, who will give you ground troops. You'll be trying to gobble off a bit of the old Poseidon's knob, you know what I mean? You'll be worshipping at the University of Athena to get philosophers, and then you'll also be trying to bribe Zeus into sending you priests that will give you a discount on auctions and also buying the mythological creatures, right? One of the things that makes it special is the mythological creature deck. That every round there's going to be 3 different creatures that you will be able to buy for varying amounts of money, and these can give you powerful abilities that can really stick it up your opponent's arsehole, you know what I mean? The first thing that we really like about Cyclades is the auction system. It's probably the best that we have ever come across. The main draw about the auction system is that when you bid on a certain god, if somebody bids higher than you, you get booted out and you can't go back and outbid them on the same deity until the next round. So you're going to be forced to go somewhere else, somewhere that you may or may not want to go. If you add into the mix the fact that you've got Apollo sitting there who's just going to give you 1 gold and a prosperity token that's going to give you extra money during the income phase, then some people choose to go to Apollo just to stuff you up so you can't say go to Ares when they know that you need troops to attack you, right? So there's this almost like a sort of what people call a meta game going on with the auction system. And even today, after 12 years of playing this, we still find this an absolute blast, right? It's one of the best auction systems that's ever been implemented in any board game, probably the best. So the next thing that makes this game really special is the implementation of the mythological creatures deck. Like we said, every round you're going to have the choice of hiring the services of these mythological creatures. They may be just one-shot abilities. You might be able to put a miniature on the board that will be able to move around the map with your troops. There's loads of mythological creatures. The expansion's added to this with some artifacts and some heroes. So let's have a look at some of our favourite mythological creatures that we have used to cause carnage and bloodshed over the years, right? So you might employ the services of the Griffin. This geezer is really, really useful as he will allow you to pilfer half of your opponent's gold pieces, right? And ordinarily gold pieces are hidden behind a screen, and this will force your opponent to disclose how many gold pieces they got. You'll be able to thieve half of them. How about that? On top of this, if you manage to get the fates in the subsequent turn or even in the same turn, then you will be able to get your revenue again. So this is a good way to amass a massive fortune so that you're more or less guaranteed to get Ares and have a tear up next round, you know what I mean? So then if you're thinking about going to battle, you will definitely want to employ the services of the Minotaur. He will count as 2 troops to bolster your forces, and the Minotaur is only discarded if the defender loses the battle, right? So the Minotaur is basically that hard geezer who you want to have your back when you have a punch-up in a pub. So the next thing that makes this game really special is the fact that you've got so many different expansions for this. You've got the Titans expansion, which adds a new map, adds the concept of Titans to the game, which give you these massive, huge brutes that are going to amplify the attacking nature of the game. You've got Hades expansion, which gives you more stuff. You're going to have a couple of extra gods to throw in the mix. You're going to get the heroes and the artifacts. Then you've got the mini monuments expansion, which gives you structures to build. For example, you might have the Citadel of Ares, and it says as long as 1 or more of your troops are stationed on this territory, it cannot be invaded by sea, land, or air, which refers to the Pegasus, one of the most powerful cards in the game. Yeah, if you've got this, then the Pegasus ain't going to be able to swoop down and do you over. Or you might have the Great Lighthouse of Poseidon. Any of your fleets destroyed in battle can be saved and placed on a sea space that is adjacent to this territory. Lovely. Not only is this game got so many expansions, the Titans expansion also allows you to play with up to 6 players. You're going to have to play with teams, but it does mix the game up even more. So there's almost like an infinite number of different possibilities if you chuck in all the different expansions to this one. So the next thing that we like about Cyclades is that this game is a bit of a slow burner, isn't it? Not only are you sort of slowed down in implementing your strategy through the way that the auction system works, not always going to be able to get areas, you're going to sometimes have to maybe think about getting those philosopher cards, but the game seems to start off really slow, and as you progress through the game, suddenly you find yourself realising that someone is just one building away from getting their second metropolis, and you're scratching around trying to make deals with other people saying you need to go and protect this island because Aunt Mabel was going to try and come around the back and slice your throat. So the tension that builds up in this game is sort of quite unbearable in a sense, you know. And one of the saving graces about this game as well is that the game doesn't end as soon as you get that second metropolis. If you are first in player order and you get your second metropolis, then the other players are still going to have their turn to try and take that off you, right? So the game doesn't necessarily end when you think you've won, yeah? So you've still got to survive the onslaught from those other players. The fact that this game is sort of a slow burner and then erupts towards the end, we really, really like that. Another thing that we really like about this game is that the board scales really well. In some games, like we talked about Power Grid earlier this week, the way that the board is blocked off really does sort of annoy me. Like in Kemet, you've got some portions of the game in certain player counts that you can't use. In Cyclades, you're going to have 2 halves of the board and you'll flip the boards over. The whole of the board will accommodate all different player counts, right? And you're not going to have any of these regions or portions blocked off. So the game feels sort of complete, and it does address that niggling annoyance of other games of this nature. So the next thing that we really like about Cyclades is that you've got the Kemet creature crossover pack. Yes, you will be able to use the creatures from the original version of Kemet in this game, and these are some of the best creatures in the game. So you might end up befriending the Mummy, who says that enemy troops destroyed in combat by the army led by the Mummy are immediately transformed into troops of the attacker. How about that, eh? Or you might have the Sphinx, the second Sphinx. There's 2 Sphinxes in this, not sphincters. Sphinxes, steady on. Says the army led by the Sphinx can immediately teleport to an island already controlled by its owner before performing its move. So this geezer takes the teleport action from Kemet and transports it into Cyclades. Super. Or you might end up having the old snake, and he allows you to treat an empty sea space as if you had a boat there. So sometimes in this game you find yourself cut off because you can't get Poseidon and you can't leap over 2 islands, but the snake will allow you to do just that. So he's very, very powerful, sort of understated in this game, yeah? So yeah, the fact that you can cross over the monsters from Kemet to Cyclades and vice versa. If you've got the original version of Kemet, you can also use the monsters from Cyclades in Kemet. It's an absolutely fantastic, genius move from Matago, yeah? Love it. So we can waffle on all day about this, but we're going to wrap this up by saying that we like the fact that Cyclades isn't actually a combat oriented game. Combat in this game is very, very simple. You're going to be adding up the amount of troops or fleets that you've got on a space. You're going to be rolling a die that's got numbers 0 to 3 on it, and you'll be adding them together, and whoever's got the most will lose a troop, right? Okay, some people criticise the game for this. They say that the randomisation of the die roll is sort of cheap, and yeah, I get that. The fact that it is so simple and yet so risky means that a lot of the time you're going to be holding back right up until the point where you don't really have a choice. Like I said, the fact that this game isn't combat oriented like other games like Kemet means that you will be focusing on area control, you'll be focusing on building up your cash reserves, you'll be focusing on which god you want to have next. But there is combat in there, and it is quite fun when it all goes really wrong for you, right? So yeah, brutal and harsh, but absolutely hilarious. So there you go. That is why Cyclades is still a top-notch game even after all these years. We have done a review of this one, but as with all reviews, we couldn't cram in all of the different things that we did like through time constraints and the fact that you'll probably get bored out your fucking head. So go out and buy Cyclades. Definitely recommend it. It's one of Bruno Cafala's best games, probably one of the best games ever made. So there you go. Remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel if you ain't already done so. Hit the like button and all that shit, and we'll see you next time.